Alrighty, so we just had an extremely disappointing season here in 2026, and now we are going to be heading into the offseason, getting geared up for 2027, and the team's probably going to look a little bit different, but not too different. We do have a few decisions to make. There are a few guys that we're probably not going to be able to move and kind of have to deal with on our team. And if we take a look at the top 100 prospect batters here, we actually have three guys on this list: Leonardo Salina, Ron Kennedy, and Victor Luna, who's going to be taken off the list because he's going to be a full-time player next year. Ron Kennedy probably is going to be, I don't know. I mean, the gap power obviously is already insane. We need this other stuff to develop, though. We need the contact, we need the avoid K, we need the home run power all to develop. He has not had a great season in A-ball this year. He was kind of okay in rookie ball last year. So, he probably ends up in high A this year to start, and maybe eventually ends up in double A to end the season. And then hopefully maybe in 2028 he's ready to come up to the big leagues. Or maybe he just tears the cover off the ball in 2027 and we call him up at some point. Maybe that's even a thing. And then, of course, Leonardo Salina is the guy that we just signed this year as our international amateur free agent. And, so 65 potential for him is what my scat thinks, and then OSA thinks he's going to be, like, one of the best players of all time, but he can't play the field. While on the pitching side of things, we do not have any pitchers on the top 100 prospects list for pitchers, so that's something we need to improve upon. Although probably not really at the moment, because we do have a pretty solid pitching staff with our 1, 2, 3, and then some other guys who are also up-and-comers like Nathaniel Garabitos, who is probably going to be a pretty decent starter at some point, if he's not already that. Colin Witzke showed some flashes, but he's probably more of like a fifth guy, which what he was to end the season for us. Ben Tompkins could be a starter at some point, was extremely good in the bullpen for us. He expects to be a starter. He very much could start, so maybe Ben Tompkins ends up being a solid starter for us. And then even somebody like Enyel De Los Santos, who once again was very good in the pen this year, hasn't been historically good as a starter when he was with Philly the past 3 seasons when he was a starter, but, maybe he figures it out with us. Now that he's in a much, I wouldn't say much more pitcher-friendly ballpark, but we tend to have a better pitching, than it seems like Philly has in this series. Even somebody like Jack Walker here could be a decent starter if we really wanted him to, but he's probably more of a reliever for us at this point right now. Now, we currently don't have any money for free agents or extensions, even with our scouting budget only being at $15 million and our player development being at $16 million, $8 million for the draft, and $5 million for international amateurs. Because we are paying a decent amount of guys some cash right now. So I doubt we're going to be able to spend big in free agency. We're probably going to have to make most of our moves through, what am I trying to say here? Through trades. But these numbers should be higher than none once we do get into free agency. It's just right now we have arbitration to get through, and then somebody like Kyle Lewis, who made $6.6 million this year, and his arbitration is up. He is pending free agent. Let's just see what he even wants. Yeah, he wants $7 million. So because he wants $7 million, if I was to offer him a $15 million qualifying offer, he'd probably just accept it right away, rather than declining it and we get a pick for him. So I'm not trying to pay him $15 million this year, so we're just not even going to offer him that. And Kyle Lewis is just going to walk into free agency. And we're just going to throw him on my default short list just to keep an eye on as his career goes on. And then, of course, we have Brian Perez here, who hopefully can have a bounce-back year after missing basically the end of 2025 and all of 2026 because he had a setback with his torn UCL. Hopefully he's back this year, and hopefully he's not, really bad after coming away from his injury, but you never know what could happen. And then, of course, we had Marte, who broke his kneecap at the end of the season after having a pretty solid year. He is slotted to jump up to $7.2 million this year. He is a guy that I would want to try to extend for a decent amount, but we just don't have the money to do that right now. So I think what I'm trying to do here is I'm going to be trying to trade away some guys right now, even before we get the free agency filings, even before arbitration goes through. Like Wyatt Mills is a guy who we could be trading this year. He's going to be getting a raise in salary, obviously. Once again, 31-year-old, he's going to be 32 this season. Obviously an extremely good reliever, but do we really, really need to be paying him in like the mid 3 millions? I don't think so. We could probably try to trade him and get something for him, whether it be prospects. That's probably what I'm going to go for, because we're basically trying to retool at this point. After 2 very disappointing seasons for us, we're kind of in retool mode now. Not full-on tank, but we're definitely in retool mode, so I think I would be trying to trade Mills for prospects. Even somebody like Ty France, who we obviously just picked up at the deadline last year and probably has 1 more year of arbitration left, but he's also a guy who doesn't really have a spot on our team, and I would also be looking to trade here for probably some prospects. And then even some other guys who aren't arbitration eligible who we're trying to trade, like Dom Smith. Dom Smith we're probably stuck with, though, to be honest. I'm not too worried about Dom Smith, or I shouldn't say I'm too worried. I should say I'm hopeful that he's going to have a bounce-back season in 2027. I would not mind having him just for 1 more season if we can't flip him. Because I just feel like his BABIP was so low this past season that there's just no way he can put up numbers like that again. Because it's not like he wasn't walking. It's not like he was striking out too much. He just, was getting extremely unlucky with his batted balls on play. Like, he even had a season in 2024 where his BABIP was pretty similar to what it was with ours, but ours is even lower. And he still put up okay numbers. So, I just feel like there's no way he can put up another season like that. At least I hope, but I would not mind keeping him around for another year if we can't trade him at the deadline. And then, of course, there's somebody like O'Neal Cruz, who is set to auto-renew on his contract because he has not had enough Major League Service time to be in arbitration. And the thing about him is, obviously, he had a lot of home runs, but he does nothing else. So do we try to trade O'Neal Cruz, or do we just get rid of him? I'm probably going to try to trade him before the free agents file, and then I will be... if we can't trade him for something, then I will just be, like, DFAing him and giving him a minor league deal for this upcoming season. And then just looking through here, I'm gonna waive and DFA a couple guys, probably, who I don't want to be getting auto-renewed contracts. Somebody like Luke Hancock, who, yes, does hit everywhere he goes. He's not exactly the most ideal catcher, though, and he can't really play anywhere else. So, he's a guy who I would kind of like to keep around as, like, our 3rd catcher option, but I don't want him getting an auto-renewed contract, so we're just gonna, waive and DFA him, make sure he does not get the auto-renewed contract. Austin Shenton, we're also going to waive and DFA, make sure he does not get the auto-renew. And I'm thinking that's it for auto-renew guys. We have Jacob Key, who is somebody I also might look to trade this year, just because he hasn't really been what he's... what we thought he could be. He could be a captain on our pitching staff, and he might be a decent reliever for us. But he hasn't really panned out to be a starter. We could probably try to trade him. He's 28. He'll be 29 once the season starts. So we could try to flip him for like some minor, like B tier, maybe C tier prospects. All right, so here's something we're gonna do with the Cincinnati Reds here. We're gonna send Ty France, Jacob Key, and this just random, like, A-ball reliever who's going to be nothing to the Reds for Pat Anderson here, who was the guy we got in the shot player round thing. He's just got really good gap power. Everything else is kind of, like, average. Can play some decent outfield, incredibly fast. Currently on the Major League roster, so we have to throw him on our 40-man here, but that's fine. He was their first-round pick in 2024. Also, this reliever here, Max Carlson, who could be something, could be bad, could also be something, so we're going to throw him on here. Maybe we can get something out of him. And then also Keyshawn Akers, who was their first-round pick in 2025. Right now, he's about pretty much average with everything, but he is slotted to become a really good contact and home run hitter. Probably more of a left fielder or just a DH. Looks like he could possibly play a little first base. Not that we need that, though. But he's a guy who's definitely going to be able to hit for us. He'd definitely would be in Double-A this year to start. Maybe ends the year in Triple-A. Maybe it ends the year in the major leagues. But Keyshawn Akers here, we're going to get him in the deal. And then we're also going to get this power-hitting, really unique shortstop guy who we would probably play at either 3rd or 2nd. Cesar Martinez, switch hitter. He's slotted to have incredible power, about league average contact. He avoids Ks, does not walk very much, but also just does not strike out very much. OSA is pretty similar on him. But I just feel like he's a solid player as well, and we're going to pick him up. 23 years old, will be 24 once the season starts. And this is what we're going to be doing with Ty France, getting that money off our books. I didn't realize that the fans loved Jacob Key that much, but I apparently so. So they're sad that we lost Jacob Key. So I just shopped O'Neal Cruz here for some prospects, and for whatever reason, teams are very high on O'Neal Cruz. I don't know if he's not really that highly valued in OSA either, but I guess, I don't know, they see he hit 36 home runs, and they're like, maybe we could do something with this guy. But I mean, I just don't want this bat in our team. I mean, he strikes out a ton, does not walk, he hits some home runs, yeah, but he does nothing else. So it's like, can he hit home runs? Yes, but he can't do anything else, like I've been saying. So we're going to try to trade him, shop him around here, and the Royals have an interesting offer here. I would want to go after this Date guy, Satoshi Date. Lefty outfielder, was their first-round pick in 2025. Had a really, really good season in rookie ball and in A-ball back-to-back years. Once again, more of a first baseman, left fielder type than anything. But I mean, I'm willing to overlook the defense. But the thing is, we did just trade for a couple outfielders, so this guy probably would be overkill, probably more of trading for an asset than an actual player. And then there's also, I would try to also get this Rusty Bynum guy out of it, who I would try to trade Dom Smith, and this guy would be our first baseman. He's a Vancouver, Washington guy, though. That's, it's not interesting. Vancouver, Washington guy could come play in Seattle. So that's something, if we wanted to go with bats, that would be what I want to do with Bynum and Date, if we can get both of them in the same deal. Let's just see if we can. I would absolutely throw somebody on here like Drew McDaniel, who's like an okay, he's got some, my scout likes his curveball a lot, but, he's not very highly regarded throughout the system, could possibly be like a fifth starter type guy. I would not be opposed to throwing these two guys on so I could get these two guys. That would not, I wouldn't mind that at all. The thing is, there's also this other trade that the A's have offered me for these two guys, Chris Poole and Mike Levin, who I feel like we could easily get both of them and even throw in like a third or fourth prospect into the deal if we add on like another guy onto the trade as well. So like Chris Poole here, our scout thinks he's a 70 grade reliever, potential bullpen / emergency starter guy, because his curveball's probably not going to get better than 40. The rest of the stuff, though, is incredible. Lefty, the guy is going to be absurd. OSA is also very high on him. OSA thinks that his curveball is also only going to get up to 50, so not the greatest there. The draw on both these guys is that they're relievers, and they're not, like starters, but they are extremely good. Like, even like this guy, he started in high A ball this year, and he was really good. Obviously, it's high A ball, but he's a guy who we would probably just throw immediately in Double A and be like a fast track to the big leagues because he's already 24. So Chris Poole, and then also this Mike Levin guy who, once again, bullpen, but my scout is very, very high on this guy. So is OSA. So would I want to go after these two incredible bullpen arms? Or would I want to get the bats? And I just feel like I can... Really what I would be banking on is that this guy could turn into a starter, but I doubt that happens. Because I just don't think that curveball is going to develop. Like, my scout thinks he's going to be a spot starter. Yeah, it's just, I wish he could be a starter full term, but I kind of don't want to, like, bank on that as like the sole thing in the trade, so I'm kind of leaning towards picking up those bats from the Royals, because I feel like we haven't had trouble developing pitching or getting a good pitching staff, and we don't need to add on some guys who are probably just going to be relievers when we could get two really good bats. So I think we're going to lean towards the bats here and goes with those guys. Alright, yeah, I haven't seen anything else that I'm able to get from these guys that I really like, so we're just going to go with this. Cruz and McDaniel to the Royals for Satoshi Date and Rusty Bynum. All right, so I think we're about to do this trade here for with Dom Smith here. So Dom Smith and Patrick Wicklander, who's like, could possibly be something for us as a guy, but probably nothing too great. Hasn't been spectacular throughout our minor league system, so Wicklander, we're going to trade him with Dom Smith to the Jacksonville Herons, and we're going to get a starter here who my scout likes his fastball, curveball, and changeup. Could be a pretty solid starter, like a fourth, fifth guy for us, which is what we need in our rotation. He's from Mercer Island, Washington, right-hander. We're going to try to pick this guy up from Jacksonville. We are going to. Also, Myles Garrett, spelled with an I instead of a Y. And 4-pitch, pretty decent combo. Slider should develop a bit more. But even if it doesn't, he still has 3 really good pitches, some good control, good stuff. There's 96 to 98. And I feel like he could be a pretty good piece for us as well, even at the Major League level. So Myles Garrett's going to come over. Also, Juan Jerez here, a 25-year-old once the season starts, second baseman. Could probably play some third or short if we needed him to as well, but probably more of a second baseman. And he's just a guy who we could use as like a middle infielder, like depth guy, because we need some of those guys now that we've traded away so many of the ones that we had. So that's a good pickup for us. And then also, Christopher Cruz here. Hard-throwing right-hander with a really good fastball and curveball, good movement and stuff. He should be a pretty solid reliever once he gets into the big leagues. Probably going to be in, I'd say, AA or AAA this year. But we'll see how he develops, and hopefully he is, or how he does, and hopefully he's in the big leagues for us at some point. But yeah, we're going to do this trade. Dom Smith and Wicklander go to Jacksonville. We get Brotherton, Garrett, Jerez, and Cruz. Alright, so I'm going to try to offer this trade to the Dodgers here. They say they need to think about it, and they'll get back to me. Sometimes this will go through, sometimes it doesn't. We're going to be trying to pick up this Brian Cermak guy, who, honestly, I could see being either our starting second baseman or third baseman this upcoming season. He has been very good at the plate throughout his entire minor league career, pretty much. And I'm very confident he could be able to hit for us. I also would pick up Ted Gagne here, who is a closer, hard-throwing lefty. Ben Hernandez, who could be a starter, could be a reliever for us. And then also Blake Money, incredible name, right-hander, 3 solid pitches. All those guys for Wyatt Mills and Brian Rocchio. Let's see if it goes through. I'm also seeing here that we're able to offer Marte here. This would buy up his last 3 years of arbitration, because at the upcoming season at 8 mil, then the next season at 8.5, and then at 9 mil. Right now, even if he does not have a better season, he is slotted to make, like, he's guaranteed to where is he? To make 7.2 this upcoming year, 10.8, and then jump up to 14.4, and that's at his current pace. Like, if he has another really good season, he's probably going to be jumping up into, like, the 18, 19 million range. So if we can get him for less than 10 mil for the rest of his arbitration, I think we should do that, so we're just going to submit this offer and buy out the rest of his arbitration. I've also gone through here and offered some of the minor league guys. Once again, if these guys do not accept, and we can get them on minor league deals with major league contracts if they get called up, or like maybe a signing bonus, then I'm not opposed to doing that. Somebody like G. Allen, Corneal, Fanol, Garrett, all guys with the hashtag next to their name are the ones we offered. The rest of them are guys who are going to be walking into free agency because we don't need on our team anymore. Alright, so the Dodgers got back and said that they will not accept this deal. Alright, so we're going to game the system a bit here. We're going to give them Wyatt Mills, MJ Melendez, who is the guy who's on an expiring minor league deal, who I'm not planning on bringing back. And then Yanulis Ortiz, who I'm also planning on not bringing back. He was a 21st round pick for us in 2020. He's absurd that he's gotten it this far in our system, but he's not a guy who's really going to be anything for us. We're just not going to bring him back. So these guys are going to go to the Dodgers, and we are going to get Cermak here, who we went over. A guy who I think is probably going to be our starting third baseman this season, or second baseman. Ted Gagne, a guy who could be a really good reliever for us. Blake Money, who could either be a solid reliever or starter. And then Sandy Gastone, who is a guy who probably could be a solid reliever for us at some point. And yeah, we're going to pick these guys up from the Dodgers for Mills and 2 guys we're not bringing back anyways. All right, fantastic. We have bought out the last 3 years of Marte. Or the last 3 years of Marte's arbitration. Hopefully he's able to continue improving for us at the plate. or even just continue doing what he's doing at the plate and being a very solid defensive shortstop. I will very much take that. Alrighty, so let's take a look at the end of season awards here as the Gold Gloves in the American League. Christian Little was pitcher, JT Realmuto. Evan White wins another Gold Glove. That is now his third Gold Glove. Luke Leto, Bobby Witt Jr., Mason Wynn, Alex Verdugo, Jason Dominguez, and Mitch Haniger got it now with the Blue Jays. In the National League, it was Jack Flaherty, Keibert Ruiz, Alec Baum, who's apparently a first baseman now, Nasim Nunez, Matt Chapman, Daniel Corona Jr., who is now up in the big leagues with the Nationals. We traded him, remember, in the in the trade for Juan Soto to get him for that half season. And it seems like he has been actually really solid for the Nationals. Probably more of a defensive player than anything else, but he hasn't been too bad. Definitely more of a defensive player, but he hasn't been too bad as a bat either, so, we could have had him, but oh well. Daniel Corona Jr. is now on the Nationals. Let's just actually throw him onto our short list here. Keep an eye on how his career goes. Reliever of the year in the American League is Jordan Hicks, who was on the Spiders. Dean actually finished in second place. Greek Dean, baby. Having a solid year in the bullpen for us. And then in the National League, it was actually Sam Delaplane. What do you know? He goes... Oh, wait, no. No, Sam Delaplane was in third place. What am I saying? I just saw the name and I got excited. But, yeah, so D-backs Josh Culinani was the winner, and Delaplane finished in third. The American League Silver Sluggers, Sergio Rosas, who's apparently on the Spiders now, Vladdy, Nick Gonzalez, Caden Wallace, Wander Franco, Juan Soto, Jared Kelnick gets it in center field, and then Kirilloff gets it in right field. The NL Silver Slugger was Alcantara. He might have even been Cy Young this year, too. Joey Bart, Nick Prado, Jack O'Dowd, Colin Wolfe, Fernando Tatis Jr., Dylan Carlson, Cody Bellinger, and Ronald Acuna Jr., who's obviously these left fielders have been tearing things up in the National League. The American League Rookie of the Year was Zach Veen from the Tampa Bay Rays. And then the National League Rookie of the Year was Julian Greenwell from the Cincinnati Reds. And then nobody else we've really recognized there. The American League Manager of the Year was Byron Nichols, the manager of the Tigers. The National League Manager was Ed Giovanola of the San Francisco Giants. The American League Cy Young was Valente Bellozo from the Astros. Wait, look at that. Justin Dunn actually got some votes. He had 28 points there. Good to see. And then there we go. Sandy Alcantara wins the National League Cy Young. That's his second Cy Young back-to-back seasons for Sandy Alcantara. And then the American League MVP actually goes to Wander Franco, as Kelnick, despite having the best WAR in the American League, finishes way down here in the voting. Not even top 3. Interesting. And then Cody Bellinger gets the National League MVP as he continues to just be absurd in this, as that is now, his 5th MVP? Just absurd. I mean, the guy is incredible. Alrighty, so salary arbitration has gone through. Enyel De Los Santos is getting 2.25. Dean is getting 800, or a little less than 900K. Aquino is getting 800K. Brian Perez is getting 1.68. And Dylan Dingler is getting 850K. And it is now free agency time. The free agents have filed. We have ourselves $21 million to spend. I don't want to be huge spenders in free agency. I'm not usually someone who goes in there and spends a lot. If we take a look at our lineups right now, Clase could be a guy who plays a lot for us this season. I feel like maybe if he plays every day, he's going to be much better than he has been on the bench. It just, following logic, sort of. Or he could end up being the 4th outfielder again. Also, Luna could be the starter for long-term. Let's see how he does there. Or any of the guys we picked up, even like Pat Anderson, could get some decent time in the outfield. So I don't particularly want to, block any of the guys we've gotten. We've also got somebody like Joe Burrows, who could be really good for us in the major leagues. Right now, Cermak is in AAA just because he doesn't have a major league contract. I didn't want to call him up until we got to the offseason, so we'll call him up eventually. But he is the guy I'm planning to be our starting third baseman this year, And then our starting second baseman is probably going to end up being either Cesar Martinez here, or it'll end up being Keithron Moss. Keithron Moss ideally is probably the backup infielder, though. I'm also seeing here that Kyle Lewis actually only wants $4.9 million, so he's a guy we could possibly bring back if we wanted to, but I just feel like it's probably best to move on from him and just play our young guys instead. And also, I'm probably looking to pick up a backup catcher in free agency, because Dylan Dingler is going to be our catcher this year. He's been fine at the catcher spot. We don't really need to look to improve upon there. Maybe, possibly, but probably not. So Dingler, I'm fine starting. Right now, it's lined up to be Daniel Susak is our backup. Susak, however you say this guy's name. Switch hitting guy who's had in AAA here. Decent defensive catcher. He's been okay offensively throughout the minor leagues. You know, could be something. Wouldn't mind him being our backup catcher. But then in AAA, our catcher would be Luke Hancock, who I don't particularly want to be our backup catcher or starting catcher in AAA. So just like right off the bat here, I'm seeing Austin Nola. And we did sign him to play some games in AAA at the end of last year because he was just sitting in free agency wanting a minor league deal, so I figured why not. But he's a guy, I mean, we could easily just give him like a 1-year, $2 million deal, and he could be our, backup catcher this year. He would help as a leader. I believe he's like a fan favorite too. So, Austin Nola, we could bring him back. I feel like that could be a thing that works, possibly. Or we could go with somebody like Andrew Nizer here, who high avoid K, probably a decent bat. Hasn't really performed in the big leagues, though, so I highly doubt that transfers over. So probably not going to go with him. But yeah, I'm kind of leaning towards Austin Nola here, so let's just throw, give him a little bit less than $2 million, like maybe 1.5. Would he take 1.5? That sounds reasonable. Bam, we'll give you 1.5. Come on down. Come on back, Austin Nola. Now, I know I said we're not going to be going after any pitchers here, but I feel like we would be doing a disservice to our team here if we didn't at least try to sign Brandon Markland, the really good Royals reliever. Extreme ground ball guy, throws 96 to 98. Very much my type of reliever, has been extremely consistent. I feel like maybe if we give him like a 1-year deal, that's worth it. He wants a 1-year deal. Maybe we'll drop it down to 2.6. Does he like that? Decent offer. Bam. That's our starting offer. 2.6 for Brandon Markland. We also offered Brian Abreu here a minor league deal because he does not have a contract demand. He is a guy who has really struggled with the Astros, but I mean, just the raw stuff that he has is extremely enticing, so I figured why not try to just give him a minor league deal and just have him in AAA, see if we could try to get something out of him. And then there really just aren't any bats that I'm interested in going after, so Austin Nola is really the only guy we're probably going to offer here, because none of these guys really interest me at all. And we got him. Didn't even have to, compete with anybody else who was trying to go after him. We get Brandon Markland on a 1-year deal for $2.6 million, and he should be a pretty solid back-end reliever for us at only 30 years old. He's a North Vancouver guy, so he's kind of close to Seattle, as close as you could be as a Canadian. Alright, so we had to waive and DFA Juan Then, because he was just the most obvious option to make room for Brandon Markland, and it looks like the White Sox have claimed him. That's fine. He's the guy who had a couple okay years in the pen for us. Or it looks like more like one okay year in the pen for us. And then he really hasn't been too much for us. Yeah, so I'm totally fine with Juan Then getting claimed. He's not like a huge part of our pitching staff. Alright, today is the Rule 5 draft, and we're actually in a situation where we could possibly try to get somebody to the Rule 5 draft. We also have to see if we're going to be losing anybody, because I don't really want to lose anybody to the Rule 5 draft. The thing is, we don't really have any obvious candidates to take off of our 40-man roster to make room for anybody, other than, taking the chance that, Max Carlson here would go through waivers, or I guess JJ Feeler, because, my scout's not very high on him, but he also wasn't good when he came up, so maybe he's a guy we could throw off the 40-man to make room for somebody. Baron Radcliffe is a bat that I think could be a decent bench piece for us, either this year or some point into this year, but he's kind of like the only one that I could be waiving here to make room for somebody like Juan Jerez, who we do want to get on the 40-man to be like a backup. I just don't think that any of these other guys are going to get taken. You know, I mean, like maybe one of these 45 potential guys who I don't have on the roster gets taken, but I mean, I wouldn't be like totally like stressed if any of them didn't. Maybe somebody like Miles, yeah, maybe one of these guys I would be sad about that we just traded for. Yeah, so just right off the bat, Juan Jerez is definitely a guy who would get taken if I leave him off because he's the best overall batter here, and he's among the best potential batters here. Also, it's making me seem like maybe I'm not going to be taking somebody in the Rule 5 this year. Maybe like this guy. No, he's no, he hasn't even played in the minor leagues. No. Where'd they get this guy from? What? Did they draft him? How'd they get this guy? All it says is that they signed him to a minor league deal a couple days. Is he just like is he an indie ball guy? Like an auto-generated indie ball guy? What happened? Who is this guy? But yeah, it doesn't look like we really need to protect any of these guys. At least I wouldn't think, other than Juan Jerez. So in order to make room on the 40-man for Juan Jerez, we are going to waive and DFA Baron Radcliffe and just hope he does not get taken. And we're going to throw Juan Jerez here on the 40-man. Luke Hancock got taken. Okay, so Baron Radcliffe, the guy we actually took off the 40-man to make room, got taken. So he's now going to be on the Tigers if they don't return him to us. And Luke Hancock, of all people, got taken by the Twins. I guess because he's just been a good bat. Okay. I mean, sure. We're going to throw him on the 40-man because I just want to see if he continues hitting. And there we go. Austin Nola has now signed his contract, and he is back on the Seattle Mariners. But once again, we need to make room on the 40-man for him. Yeah, we'll go Carlson. We're going to take Carlson off the 40-man here to make room. And it's fantastic. Max Carlson here did not get claimed, so we just throw him down into AAA. Alrighty, so the Hall of Fame results this year. CC Sabathia makes the Hall of Fame in his third year of eligibility. Max Scherzer just comes up short. Zach Greinke, Ichiro, Beltran, and Robinson Cano, and Francisco Rodriguez are the guys who follow them. And yeah, I don't think we're going to be making any more moves here. We do have a couple guys who are probably going to maybe miss spring training and maybe like a couple weeks. Like Neuweiler here still has 3 months on his injury, so he's the guy who's probably going to start well, he definitely will start the year in AAA when he comes back from his injury. And then Marte still has 4 months left on his injury, so that's not exactly ideal. But I think we have we've picked up a few middle infielders here to hold the line while he's recovering from his injury, that broken kneecap. Like Martinez will probably play shortstop while he's gone, and second base will be like a combo of Juan Jerez and Keith Ron Moss, while this Cermak guy is going to be our third baseman this season. Illinois State! Now I'm just going to have the Connor O'Malley video in my head all day. But yeah, obviously things are going to change once we get through spring training and I make decisions on who makes the regular roster, but probably a bit of a retool season here in 2027. But maybe we could string something together, you know? Like, even when I think we're going to win, we end up being like a wild card team when I think we're going to be better. Maybe now that I think we're going to retool, we're all of a sudden going to win like 98 games and win the division. Who knows? Maybe the young guys get it done for us.